Are we ready? Fantastic. I call this meeting this December 12th. Sorry, I came up the stairs. This December 12th meeting of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Board of Trustees to order at 5:00 p.m. Will you please, Ms. Nance, will you please call roll?
Chair Wah,
Here.
Trustee Rogers,
Here.
Trustee Haran,
Here.
Trustee Whiteley,
Here.
Trustee Foyt, here. Trustee Benavidez,
Here.
Trustee Sanchez,
Here.
Trustee Dukowski, Trustee White,
Here.
Trustee Jimenez,
Here.
and we do have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Don't slide.
Agenda item number 2, public comment. Topics raised under this item must be limited to matters on today's agenda. Anyone wishing to speak during this item must sign up on the roster provided prior to the public comment period. The sign up must include the commenter's name, legal address, and the agenda item that is being commented on. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I believe you all are speaking for the agenda item for the venue fee. So I'm going to call Anne Marie Summers. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, please.
And comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anne Marie Summers. I live at 353 East Bonnieville in Las Vegas, zip code 89101. I am a parent of a son in the performing arts community and a member of the performing arts community. Last time you heard from me was back in September when the majority of my son's dance company spoke in regard to the current policies no longer serving the entire performing arts community. I'm here to express my support for the proposed venue usage and the fees associated. I have spoke with numerous individuals from the theater community, including members of Signature Productions, and I'm assuming that several members are here and may or may not speak this evening. This December will be the first year that Las Vegas Ballet Company will not be performing their annual Nutcracker in the month of December because of the current policies allowed a single company, one that they may not realize I've been associated with in the past, to rent the space for 75 days, impacting not only Las Vegas Ballet, but also a secondary dance company who also put on a production of the Nutcracker. I'm going to go off script for a moment. You know, we just had the Pledge of Allegiance, and one thing that sticks with me is justice for all. And that's what I'm asking your vote to be here. I know that there's going to be a lot of people here from Signature Productions, and I do want to say that I, again, graduated from UNLV. I'm a theater with a theater degree. A lot of these people are my friends. I think the first time I stepped on stage with them was 20 years ago. Okay. However, with that being said, this is a community space. And every single time I spoke with anybody from Signature or anybody in the theater community in general who was not in support of this, they never had a secondary thing to offer. Like, what about my son's company? It was about them. It's always been about them and monopolizing a space that honestly, they don't own. As a member of this community, it doesn't matter if I want to put on a one-woman show for an audience of one, I should have equal an opportunity right to do so. And we've been booted, literally been booted by a loophole that was way overused and should have been not allowed in the first place. So I am asking to support the venue fee change because I'm hoping it's going to allow smaller companies for us in 2 months to have maybe 8 performing arts companies be able to come in and use a space instead of a single organization monopolizing that entire prime space during the month of December and the holidays. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I believe this says Lance Earl. Okay, Debbie Earl.
Hi, my name is Debbie Earl. I am a member of the Signature Board. I'm coming here and I'm going to oppose the venue fees.
Can you please state your address for the record, please?
8333 Granite Mountain Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada. I sent a letter. I don't know if you got my email, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of the things that were represented. We love Summerlin Library Performing Arts Center. There's nothing like it. I just heard the tail end of a woman's comment about her supporting the venue use fees. And December is a prime month. And if that's something you consider for maybe using the multi-day fees during that month, maybe that's an alternative you can suggest. But Summerlin Library, it's a beautiful venue. It's close in proximity to a large draw of our patrons, which is Sun City. We've been performing there for over 30 years. We've been good tenants. We pay on time. We are courteous. We follow the rules. We try to leave the facility cleaner than when we found it. To my knowledge, none of the library staff has ever complained about it. Our nonprofit provides a safe, fun place where diverse members of our local community can showcase their talent, both on stage and behind the curtain. For many, this is their first experience with community theater and a theatrical production. We put on amazing productions with local talent. I invite you to come and see on the house our current performance, which is A Christmas Carol. Just mentioned that you're a trustee from the Board of Library. See for yourselves the diverse talent and crew, the size and diversity of the audience, and the quality of the show. We draw large, diverse crowds of all ages and backgrounds, which have been coming and looking forward to our shows for many, many years. These patrons and our actors and crew members are local citizens who help fund the library through their tax dollars. We need to rent the theater for 30 to 35 days for each of our productions. I believe this is the first year that December has been an issue. And again, as I say, if that's a prime month, if you want to have extended fees for multi-day use during that month, maybe that's a compromise. The multi-day use fee increases of 150% for days over 17 days, and charging full cost for dark days, which are currently only $70. I don't know if that you're aware of that, but currently dark days are $70. They would raise that cost to $300 and $450 after 17 days. And that's before you even we consider the cost of increased security and tech. It's pretty much going to double what we pay. When we brought up alternatives at that December 3rd meeting, such as a different price for nonprofits, we were told no. In fact, that meeting was more of just a rehash of the exact presentation and then just the reasons why Mr. McNally was correct.
Thank you, ma'am. That's time.
Are we up?
Yep.
I guess, can I just summarize by saying, I understand that fees need to be increased in the tech and security, and maybe that's an alternative that you make it more expensive in December if you go over 17 days, but I would urge you to just keep the other days and not impose that fee after 17 days. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lance is here now.
Ebony will call. Who's next?
I don't know how to pronounce your name, but Kay Lawson, I believe this is what it's saying. Carl Lawson, okay. Please remember to state your full name and address for the record.
My name is Carl Larson, Larsen, Carl with a K, 3255 Mustang Street in Las Vegas, 89108. I am the president and executive producer of Signature Productions. First of all, we are not the bad guys. We have gone and obeyed all of the rules. And again, like she says, I think that the December thing is about the only thing that people have ever complained about. Our mission is to provide for family-friendly entertainment at a price that's affordable for families. We're not selling anything. We're not promoting our dance studio or other things that are promoted there. We're not among that money-making business. This is a nonprofit community theater. We've been in existence 35 years. The meeting that we had the other day with the staff that you asked was really a bummer. All we did was listen to what makes Matt happy. And I guess that's all that meeting was. He suggested that we should be able to get all of the things that we do in 17 days. We have a huge show with $100,000 budget for each show. Trying to put them in a 17-day things is ridiculous. We're not a professional company. We can't practice all day long. Our practices don't start till 7 at night. Okay. We met with the staff. It was a sell job. We are the largest user of the library. We have been the largest user of the library for as long as we have been there. We obey the rules. When it's time for us to try for the next year, we have done that. We're available, and I asked them to put this together as a quarterly thing, and we have the groups together and see how we can help each other to take up the times and the places that they need. But I got no additional comments from them, and I'm sure that won't happen. That was the first meeting, by the way, that rental units have ever had in the 27 or 28 or 30 years that we have been there. All I would do is say that we're objecting to the 17-day fee structure. We are in favor of $350 for every day that you're there. Dark days are empty days. Come on. You're going to charge $300 for a dark day. You don't even have a tech there. You don't need security. $70 covers whatever the electricity is that day. I would ask you as a group to come and see the show. This is not a road show.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. That's your 3
It's
minutes.
Dr. Larson. Thank
Dr.
you very
Larson,
much.
thank you.
Brett Whipple, please remember to state your full name and address for the record.
Good day, Mr. Chair, and to all the fellow members of the board. My name is Brett Whipple. I reside at 6155 Coley Avenue. I am simply a patron. I just pay a fee when I go in and watch Signature Productions, but I'm here to speak on their behalf. To drop by, I know I only have 3 minutes, and the first thing I want to do is thank each and every one of you, because I know you're up here not getting paid. I myself was a chair of the Board of Regents back in the Carol Harder, Jim Rogers era, and remember being on the other side and listening to people. And so I know that you listen to us, and I know that it's important to you. And that's why I wanted to take a few minutes. I'm uninvolved, completely uninvolved, other than I'm a very proud father of a daughter that performs. And I just want to give complete support to Signature Productions. there was a comment that we're not a bad guy. I don't know the politics, but all I can tell you is that Signature Production is an asset for the entire community. And I was watching them way before my daughter ever got involved. It's a great production. I go many, many times. And I think there's a concern that the increase in fees will force Signature Productions out. That's kind of the general overtone. I don't know the specifics. I'm hoping that there can be some type of compromise or some type of working together, because Signature Productions is a great asset for all of the community. Very specific with regard to my daughter. My daughter was accepted at UNR. She was going to go to UNR, but she loves producing and working with Signature Productions so much that she gave up that opportunity to stay in this community. So I thought that was a very small example, but something that you should hear, because it is a great asset for the community at large. And if you've ever had an opportunity to see it, you'll be gracious. I mean, you'll be very surprised. They're wonderful. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for everything. And that's it.
Thank you.
And Lance Earl, please remember to state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lance Earl, 8333 Granite Mountain Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89129. I also am a board member with the Signature, the vice president of Signature Productions. The reason that you're seeing us being so involved with this is because the policies that are being produced, the venue use policy affects us and pretty much only us in the multi-day use platform that is being proposed. There are apparently two users who use more than 17 days at the Summerlin Library at the Pacific Performing Arts Theater. We're one of those. And so this policy is intended to punish us. In the meeting that we had December 3rd, Mr. McNally acknowledged that part of the reason for the multi-use policy is to discourage multi-day users like Signature, because that's exactly what it does. I will point out in the presentation that was done in November, the fee structure goals were identified as the following: keep rental rates the same for all current venues, recover actual costs for labor, security, and services, encourage compliance with library district policy, and improve and retain customer access in venues. The fact of the matter is that the multi-use policy does not keep current fees. They actually are changing them completely, which is not identified in the presentation. It is not intended to recover actual costs, but essentially becomes punitive for us and in the way that it's being charged. And the other thing that it does is limit access to the library, and particularly to the theater. It limits groups like us who put on Broadway musical performances. It limits those who come, the local talent that we have. We use local talent. They do not get paid. It's teenagers, it's children, it's adults, and it's tech. The other thing is it limits the patrons, because we provide a very unique opportunity at the theater. None of that is described in here. The dark days is in the policy. I looked it up today. If you look at the venue current fees that were adopted by this board previously, $70 a day is what's charged for the days in which performances aren't done. The presentation that Mr. McNally did last month suggests that the $320 a day fee is what's currently being done. That's not correct. It's done by the hour. And so he's charging full days for what we have. The question is there a reason to limit multi-day users like Signature? I submit that there isn't. There's one group that complained, the ballet company, and we would be more than happy to work with them. But we're not aware of anyone who is complaining that Signature or other users, multi-day users, are overusing the theater. There's no indication. I've asked for the information. Who can't perform because
Thank you, sir.
Signature is using that? I would request that if you want to pass venue fees for conference rooms, for which there isn't controversy, you do that, but allow more discussion on the use of the theaters and the venue use fees, because it's contrary to what's being presented to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more public comment?
No, there isn't.
Thank you. Then I will close public comment, move on to agenda item number 3, board action to accept proposed agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion from Treasurer Turner Whiteley, a second from Trustee Foyt. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 4, approval of proposed minutes for possible action. These are the regular board meeting minutes of November 14th, 2024. This is the transcript. As I understand, we have not had an opportunity, the transcriber. There was something going on with that. So do I have a motion to accept the proposed minutes?
So moved.
Motion from Trustee Benavides. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Rogers. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 5, Chair's report. Chair's report. I don't have anything specific to report, except I apologize, I was not at the last meeting. I'm in the rounding edge of my degree program, and I had a class that I couldn't miss, so I was not there. Is there anything from any? Oh, I do want to give a special congratulations to Branch Manager Billy Allen, who on Netflix, the Queer Eye program, he's being featured as a change maker or someone who's doing great work in the community. And then congratulations to all the employees who won awards, service awards, and everything on Tuesday. So congratulations to all of our hardworking employees who won an award, but also to all of our employees who are continually doing great work each and every day. So moving on to 5A, trustees report. Trustees, does anyone have anything they would like to discuss at this time?
I did attend the book sale on Sunday, which I thought was a nice time slot, different than we may have had before. It was at Windmill, tremendous response. Very nice to see so many community members and their children. The library was packed. Windmill stays very busy, and Sunday's a nice family and community day. I enjoyed attending. I also was present for Mr. McNally's conversation and further discussion with theater groups last Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday? I'm trying to think which day it was. Early morning, had a good turnout. Everybody had a chance to talk again, so.
Thank you, Trustee Foyt. Anyone else at this time? Trustee Sanchez.
I just want to say thank you very much to all the employees who did the Comic-Con Festival. I went and it was fantastic. And so many families had a wonderful time. And I saw how hard the employees work to make that happen once a year. And it was very well attended. So congratulations and kudos. And thank you, Kelvin. The property was pristine and beautiful. Also, I want to say congratulations for the Summerlin Fall Festival getting the Silver Award, 3rd place for Best of Vegas, and for Darren's Art Gallery also winning bronze. So congratulations, that's really wonderful news. And I was very happy to read about that in the paper.
Thank you, Trustee Sanchez. Anyone else? And I do want to say I did see one of the new license plates out in the wild on the way to work. So make sure you get down to the DMV and get your library license plate. So moving on to item B, Las Vegas Clark County Library Foundation. I don't see anyone from the foundation here. So we will move on to agenda item number 6, library reports. Director Watson.
Thank you, Chair Wah, trustees. My executive director's monthly report has submitted for December 2024. These are just a sample, as always, of some of the activities that took place throughout the month of November, my travels, meetings, partnerships, et cetera. I also, well, Chair Watt took a lot of my comments that I was going to make, so I'll just reiterate. Thanks and congratulations to all of the staff the halftime talk town hall that we had on Tuesday, redeveloped. I think it's something that we're going to continue to do in December with the staff recognition. Over 100 service award winners from 5 years to 40 years of service to the library district was recognized. And then we also had the other awards that the staff recognition committee came up with, the MVP awards, the team awards, and the I can't think of what the other award is, Jeff. MVP. Rookie of the year. That's right. Rookie of the year, who's been with the library district for less than less than a year, short period of time in the work. And then the staff, they did the nominations and they determined the winners. And I thought it was a very positive meeting. The strategic playbook updates were also given by the department directors. We videotaped those, and we had our media highlights that we always do. And so if you haven't had a chance to see it, I think we got it recorded or something, and you can see all the activities and the time spent and the effort that the staff put into it. So that being said, the other thing that I was going to do, and I think we have it queued up, is the recognition of our Billy Allen, our Whitney Library branch manager, and featured on the Netflix Queer Eye program, season 9, episode 8. All the episodes dropped yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to view the episode, I would definitely encourage you to do so. Inspiring, uplifting, are some of my thoughts. Also highlighting Billy's job as what he does within the staff, with the community, and his profession and love of being a librarian. So, and I think some of the other trustees have watched it. I want to say thanks to Trustee Whiteley, actually, who came to us with the opportunity, and is much appreciated for that. Do we have that queued up?
I'm Billy Allen, and I am a librarian, the branch manager of Whitney Library for the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. So y'all reading your books and all that?
Mr. Billy, where's my book? The friendly local librarian who hosts the popular kids reading event, Hip Hop Story Time.
Yeah. I like to learn my ABCs. I like to learn my 1, 2, 3s. Hip Hop Story Time is nothing but vibrant energy.
And Billy hosts a YouTube channel called Three Kings Visions, where he reads aloud children's books with a protagonist of color for kids around the country to learn about reading from someone who looks like them.
Wow. What makes Billy a great librarian is his focus on the kids and the youth, and just to see the energy that he gave off, and the kids just loved him. That's what makes him a great librarian.
Never in a million years did I think I would become a librarian. Honestly, librarianship saved my life.
So definitely something to watch, the teaser, but the episode again highlights the work, and there was also a makeover. If you aren't familiar with the program, there was also a makeover of Billy's apartment, which was much needed. So again, take a look at the at the episode, and all of the episodes. Actually, I was not familiar with the program before Trustee Whiteley said something to me about it, and I watched an episode, and actually Billy had never watched the program either, so we watched it together, and it's like, okay, let's do this, and just highlighting again him and the branch and the Las Vegas Clark County Library District. It's already a buzz on social media from lots of my colleagues, director colleagues, reaching out and giving us kudos on yet another accomplishment from the library district. So before I open it up to any questions regarding my report, I just wanted to say again, thank you to all of the staff, from the administration team, all of the employees, all of the contributions. Just to reiterate what I said to the staff on Tuesday, thanking them for the work and dedication to the library district as well as to the community that we serve, and to wish everyone a happy continued holiday, safe and happy holiday season. So Chair Wah, I'll now open up to yourself and the trustees if there are any questions regarding my report.
Thank you. And that is available on Netflix. All episodes released now, not a sponsor. Are there any trustees who have questions for Director Watson? Trustee Foyt.
I just would like to ask you to add something to it during the staff collective. You gave away something really lovely.
Thank you for that reminder, Trustee Foyt. So when we were recognized, the library district was recognized as the Vegas Large Business of the Year in November. One of the things that the library district received was 2 round-trip airline tickets on Allegiant from Allegiant Airlines. And so after discussing it with Jerry, our new conflict of interest policy being implemented, we put all of the service award winners and all of the staff that were recognized into a drawing. And so one of our staff received, Reagan received 2 round-trip tickets on Allegiant Air for any destination here in the continental United States. So that was an additional incentive, but now we have to figure out how to get something else to draw for upcoming years.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Executive Director Watson? And if not for Director Watson specifically, then any other reports?
Really quickly.
Yes, Treasurer Turner-Whiteley.
So sorry, let me pull up my right note. I just wanted to acknowledge the brand team. Great job with I don't know where Betsy is. Great job with the license plate. I saw it everywhere, which is awesome. As Trustee Sanchez said, I also saw the comic festival, right? I'm not great at that stuff. I saw that everywhere. It was terrific just to see the continuous outpouring of everything that you guys are working on. Additionally, to Matt and the community team, really impressive job of being where our community is. I really noticed a lot of things jumped out at me in your report about being at trunk or treats or just being where they are. So hopefully they can see that, we might be more than they think we are. So really terrific job as always. And then I don't think Billy is here, but if he's watching this, it takes a very special vulnerability, willingness to be vulnerable, to go into a show like Queer Eye and show what your life is like when it's maybe not camera ready. And for him to be willing to do that, I think speaks volumes of the person that he is and the value that he brings to the district. And so I found him on social media before I was even involved in the library. He's a really tremendous hero of our community, really reaching out and being where kids need him to be. And so if you have a moment to watch it, it is an hour-long episode. It will probably make you cry. It's really wonderful. So if he's watching this, thank you, Billy, for being vulnerable and willing to open yourself up to that.
Thank you. Any other trustees?
Yes,
Trustee Sanchez?
since we're going to be discussing the venue fees, I was wondering if we could also go over the security report, just so I can ask a couple of questions, because I think they are related.
Director Segura?
Leo Segura, Library Operations Director for the record.
Hello, Mr. Segura, how are you?
Good evening. Great, thank you.
Regarding the library operations and activity, can you just give us an overview of how things are going regarding security, and what is it that we as a board that we're typically paying for with security with regard to that? Because that is a very important part to today's board meeting, and I think it's important for the public to understand.
Okay. I would invite Director Vino to chime in on what we pay. He actually handles the pocketbook on that one. I do work with his security manager through our committee on discipline and security. But we do have our security guards who not only patrol areas, but they help enforce library rules of conduct. Whenever there's an issue or somebody not following the rules, they are professionally trained to step in and intervene so that our staff and community remain safe. But they also do rounds throughout the building, including the theaters, when staff are not in those areas.
So I have one question. So even if there are dark days in a theater, we would still have security, correct?
Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about special venue or special requests. So along those lines, as it relates to venues, those are by special request. We have a separate budget for that. But yes, our normal security guards on dark days are on duty as branch-related security, correct?
Okay. I think that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone, while they're up here, does anyone have any questions for Director Segura or Director Vino? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Any other reports, trustees? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and accept the reports and move on to agenda item number 7, unfinished business. Discussion and possible board action regarding venue use fees. Mr. McNally.
Chair Watt, Board of Trustees, Director Watson, and Council Welt, good evening. For the record, Matt McNally, Community Engagement Director. Joining me tonight is Project Manager Sherry Walker and Programming and Venues Manager Ryan Neely. At the November 2024 Board of Trustees meeting, staff presented a proposal for your consideration of venue use fees to support the venue use policy, which was adopted in June of 2024. I know there's a few trustees here tonight that weren't able to attend that last meeting, so I thought I'd take a brief moment at the beginning and just kind of recap that presentation as quickly as I can. So I began by noting that current fees would be honored for all existing commitments. Should you approve the agenda item this evening, staff now recommends the implementation of new venue use fees take effect beginning March 1st, 2025, and for all new commitments thereafter. We've got a little bit of work that we need to do to be able to implement those fees before the beginning of March. I spoke about the Library District's partnership model and how anyone can use meeting rooms and performing arts centers for free if they qualify for partnership. A good question from the board was raised about nonprofit and government rates. By and large, almost all of the nonprofit and government entities that we work with qualify for partnership and this free usage. So rental users, this will click there. Rental users are very different than partners. Rental use is designed for those who charge tickets, who solicit, they fundraise, or maybe they want to use a space privately. The venue use fees would apply to 6 performing arts centers and 17 meeting rooms. And any revenue acquired by the library district really only accounts for about 10% of recovery of our estimated costs. The service model remains the same with the newly proposed venue use fees. We aren't looking to really move that needle in any major way in terms of cost recovery. Doesn't want to forward. There we go. So staff completed a community assessment. We looked at local market conditions. We compared rates and we found that the library venues are under market value. I want to point out that the newly proposed rates also remain below market value. And library district fees are all inclusive of venue equipment, unlike many of our competitors. So when you rent a venue, everything that comes in that venue is included in that total. Projectors, lighting equipment, sound equipment, microphones, lecterns, anything that would be needed in that venue. Sorry, once the clicker is not cooperating with me here. So staff established some goals to present a Staff established goals to present a fee structure that is based on external market conditions, that's reflective of current labor and service expenses, and balances community interests and need. We kept our base rates of $30 an hour for a conference room and $40 an hour for a performing arts center. Those remain the same. Staff did propose a daily rate for continuous use of the performing arts centers. You'll notice that that proposed daily rate, if you do use it for a full 8 hours, it's actually a cost savings of $20. Now, fees for labor haven't been updated in over a decade. Staff proposed recovering actual costs for technicians and security to prevent the public from subsidizing labor for private use. Security costs, Trustee Sanchez, that you mentioned earlier, they're only charged when an event runs beyond normal library operating hours. So during the day when the libraries are functioning, the library covers the cost of security. If you're in before or afterwards, then we ask the rental user group to pick up that security cost.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm sure that there are policies in place and people who are renting it have certain things that they need to keep safe during that time frame. So I'm sure that is also good for our insurance. And from a liability perspective, we need to have that security even in hours that we're not operating.
Yes, and other things too, like the venue is typically locked down. People aren't really allowed into the venue, for those insurance purposes or claims of property theft, perhaps, or things like that. So there are other measures that are taken in addition to having security on site.
And it's my understanding that the security that is paid for is not from the general fund security. It's paid for through this program. Is that correct?
All of the security costs are actually accounted for in the general fund. The costs for our rental users, think of it almost as a pass through. So we keep money allocated in a contracted services budget to contract the security guard, but then we invoice the user group for security costs that are needed outside of regular business hours.
And your new proposal means that the security cost will cover the amount versus right now. Is that correct? So what we pay in security costs, what someone would pay for security costs right now, that is not being covered fully. The library district is subsidizing that?
Correct. Right now, we charge $15 an hour for security. The actual vendor cost to the library district is $29.56.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, an at-cost fee for needing specialized services like a hearing interpreter or piano tuning are also proposed. And the venue use policy that was adopted by the Board of Trustees in June of 2024, with the way that it's written now, staff proposes that new non-compliance fees be implemented to help enforce that the expectations of that policy. So there's a few of them. They include payment and insurance, making sure that those sorts of things come in a timely manner. Groups are now responsible for making sure that they don't exceed occupancy. We're looking at cleaning, restoration, repair, and labor fees, early arrival or late departure fees. If a group fails to notify the library district of an ADA request, there could be potential fees for that. Resolution of naming misuse. We've had this issue come up in the past where the library district is adversely affected because of how different groups market programs when renting and using our spaces independently. And then also understaffing of chaperones and ushers and things like that for minors. So again, any of these non-compliance fees would never be paid by a user group if they respect and honor the policy that you've put forward. So, but it does give the library district the opportunity to enforce that policy a little bit more should it be violated. So the proposed venue use fees are outlined in a one-page public document. And following the November 2024 Board of Trustees meeting, staff conducted a community information session regarding the venue use fees on December 2nd. All 2024 and 2025 rental users of library district venues were invited to attend the event directly by email. The invitation was sent to 1,123 rental users. Of that, 1,072 rental users were reached, and the email received a 54.3% open rate, which is really incredible. I understand that a really good open rate would be somewhere around 15 to 20%. So we know that the users of the library district were notified and aware of the meeting. The community information session was also advertised on the library district's website for anyone to join. So the community information session was attended by 14 customers representing 6 groups. Thank you to Trustee Foyt for attending, along with, we had a number of staff that also took interest in the meeting. At the community information session, the library district, we provided some bagels and coffee, and I gave the presentation in its entirety that you saw at the November board meeting. And then staff met with attendees for a 45-minute question and answer period. Staff articulated decision-making and the proposal and why certain fees are proposed. Following the community information session, staff reviewed all of the contractual use in 2024 to help better clarify the library district's rental customers. So of the 172 Performing Arts Center rental users that were invited to the meeting, next slide here, 139 of them used a Performing Arts Center for no more than 1 day per contract. These users would pay the $40 per hour venue rate. The other 33 rental users would have paid the proposed daily rate under the new fee structure, which offers that discount when using the venue for 8 hours. Now, we found that almost all groups completed contracted venue use within 1 week over the last year. The Board of Trustees used the word super users at the last board meeting, so we wanted to provide you some context as to what we really kind of believe that means. In 2024, there were 2 rental user groups that had contracts lasting longer than 17 days. It was 3 contracts in total lasting 19 days, 43 days, and 74 days. The 2 groups constitute 1% of all library district user groups, but they accounted for 86% of the rental use at the Summerlin Library Theater. So that led us to showing you then a snapshot of how the performing arts centers are used on a daily basis within a calendar year. We looked back over 2024 and we found that the number of days in blue represent library district programming days. The number of days in teal represent independent rental use, and the number of days in pink represent dark day use. A dark day is an industry term that refers to a day when the venue is used for storage. Okay. Cast, crew, and the audience do not access the space. The lights remain off, hence the name dark day. So the venue serves as a storage facility for things like scenery on the stage and up in the fly loft, costumes and dressing rooms, stored props, lighting and sound equipment. It's left configured for that group to come back and use it with a specific intention. It's not impossible to co-use a venue on a dark day, but it often does limit one and sometimes both groups to accomplish what their goals are. It requires really strong management and communication between those groups, but there's also concerns around the insurance and security of property. So currently a dark day is contracted for $70 a day. The proposed venue use fees requires the new daily rate be paid since the venue is occupied. It's very similar to a hotel analogy. If you get a hotel room for an evening, you don't pay just for the hours that you sleep, you pay for the hours that you are occupying the hotel room, occupying the venue. The proposed venue fees require the new daily rate be paid, again, since that venue is occupied, and the super users 3 contracts combined for 102 occupied days and 34 dark days at a single venue. So you'll notice that extended rental use has a direct correlation to the library district's ability to provide free programs to the public. Some of the things that were mentioned within the public comment, within the policy, it is venues are rented on a first come, first served basis. It is not the library district's role to help manage external relationships within the community. We don't sit down and we don't broker and make deals. It's just your policy says that it is first come, first serve. Also, I know I heard it say it was not what the community wants, but it was what Matt wants, and really it's not really what I want. It's what this board would like. It's your decision. I don't have a decision in the say. So with that, Chair Wah, the proposal for venue use fees returns to the Board of Trustees for your discussion and continued consideration.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. Are there any questions for Director McNally at this time? Trustee Sanchez.
Thank you very much, Mr. McNally, for reviewing this once more. For those of us that were not at the meeting, I just have a question. When you say that someone submits first come, first serve, how does that work? Do you start, new contracts like January 1, you can submit for the year, or do you have you have to turn it in within 3 months before you're asking? Could you explain that to me just so that way I have a better understanding of how that works?
Sure, no problem. It's a little bit different between the conference rooms and performing arts centers. So the conference rooms are all available online, and those open up on a daily basis, 6 months in advance. So, first person to click, complete their reservation, and then have it approved after being reviewed by staff ends up, getting that space, assuming that they're in, good financial standing with the library district and haven't been trespassed or things like that. Okay. For the performing arts centers, each venue does run a little bit differently. Overall, the basis, they all run this similarly. For the policy, the way that the policy is administered might be a little bit different. So the 6 performing arts centers, they open up to the public, I believe it's 13 months in advance. Okay, so December 1st of this year, you could rent for all of December next year. Okay, so in essence, you can get like 12 to 13 months kind of in advance. Certain performing arts centers have a lot more interest, and so in the past, groups actually lined up outside the theater waiting for the venue to open first thing in the morning to be first in line. We ended up moving to a telephone automated system where user groups can call and place a voicemail that has a timestamp, and so all those voicemails come in in chronological order, and then staff know who to contact first to go ahead and select dates, and then move down the list, talking to the next interested person as to what dates might be available. So, and then the other venues I don't think are, as popular. I think of different user groups all trying to kind of get in and use the space at the same time. So we don't have those types of processes set up as deeply as we do at the Summerlin Library Theater.
Only because that's not necessary, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But I can say that all venue use is first come, first serve. Staff do our best to we're very diligent in who first come is, so that we can first serve them.
Thank you.
Trustee
Chair?
Benavides, did I hear you? Yep, Trustee Benavides.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McNally. I know that I had requested this community meeting. Unfortunately, when it's during work hours, sometimes we're not able to be there. After listening to those community organizations that attended, could you give us some feedback of what you heard and if there were any changes to your proposal to us today compared to what you showed us last month?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The groups that did attend, the people that did attend, did express appreciation for the invitation. They appreciated the opportunity to get together and hear directly from staff and have some questions answered. The meeting actually began with 8 questions that were emailed to me. And I made sure that I went through and answered all of those questions and then sat down and we had an opportunity to dive a little deeper if, individuals were looking for some more information. Many of the groups heard the information, I think, for the first time, and they were grateful to the library district for explaining our process. There were times it was contentious, just because different individuals, I think, have different goals. And the difficult part, I think, for staff is balancing the needs of the community. I believe that this was really kind of accomplished for the majority, and done so in a very measured way. So staff doesn't have any changes to the proposed fee structure. We did have some conversations, some sidebar conversations about leaving the possibility open for some future meetings to discuss maybe partnership opportunities with some of the attendees, and choosing maybe another way to serve the mission of the library district by providing service maybe at no cost. So, we want to offer free programs to the community. So, so there could be some continued conversations that maybe focus around kind of that partnership aspect.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Director McNally from trustees? If there are none, I would accept a motion if there is one.
I just want to make a comment before
Yep.
moving forward.
Trustee Sanchez.
Thank you. I know this is a very contentious discussion, and I'm grateful that the community came out to meet with the library district employees to discuss this. And for me, the most important thing is that we are a governmental entity and we provide the most services that I know of for a library. It's not just books. There's a lot of different programs, and including the theaters and the conference rooms. And unfortunately, we are not keeping up with what financially with what is being requested of us. And so I want the community to know that. I want the community to know that we are I am very committed to making sure that we can provide theaters and we could provide learning through arts and culture. But at the same time, we can't do that based on rates from 10 years ago, as much as I wish we could. So I just want the public to know that I believe the library district has done as much as it can, knowing that unfortunately there's all these costs with security, and there's costs for techs, and there's just a variety of costs that are no longer the same from 10 years ago. So for that reason, I would like to make a motion to support the venue fee change.
And are you Trustee Durham?
I would second that motion.
Okay, and then just for the record, the motion is to approve the proposed venue use fees effective March 21, 2025 to vacate and replace previous fee schedules for meeting rooms and performing arts centers. The venue use fees shall be implemented by staff as follows. Customer agreements completed prior to March 1, 2025 will incur costs according to the current fee schedule. Customer agreements made on or after March 1, 2025 will incur costs according to the newly proposed venue and use fees. Staff shall update at cost fees effective each library district fiscal year based on expected incurred costs rounded up to the nearest dollar. Are there any discussion on the motion, trustees?
I would like to echo what Trustee Sanchez said. I think for those of you in the room from Signature, I have purchased many of your tickets and seen many of your productions, and they're terrific. Nonprofit community theater is essential, I think, and it's incredibly important, the work that you do. I know people have suggested this is a punishment, and I just would like to say that that's not the way I view it at all. It's simply a reevaluation after 10 years of a fee structure that needed to happen for the district. So I would encourage everybody up here and listening to go see a Signature production. They're incredible. I'm going on Saturday. And thank you for your work. It's not personal. It's simply just the right thing to do after 10 years.
Trustee Foyt.
I would just like to comment that looking at this latest chart that's up here that everyone has in front of them, it does kind of open up the concept of perhaps looking at an alternative to the Summerlin Performing Arts Center. There are other facilities that are just wonderful that would perhaps lend themselves to a variety of programs by not just Signature, of course, but any of the other theater companies or performing groups. And secondly, I would like to compliment Mr. McNally and his staff on the completeness of the reports and the information that they've provided for us. It certainly has a lot of clarity to it. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I would also like to thank Ms. Sherry Walker and Mr. Ryan Neely and their staff. This started with a task force team of different staff throughout the district, talking to different community user groups, trying to understand where problems have been over the last decade or so. This has been probably a year and a half worth of development, I think, on the staff side, and they've worked very, very hard. So I appreciate that comment, and I'll make sure I share that with them.
Are there any other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8B1, discussion and possible board action on the expiration of the bookstore agreement between the Board of Trustees and the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Foundation Board of Directors. Trustees, as many of you may recall, with the exception of Trustee White and Trustee Jimenez, at our June meeting, this board approved a 6-month extension to the bookstore agreement with the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Foundation Board of Directors to allow for the negotiation of an updated bookstore agreement. This board retained counsel from Greenberg Traurig to facilitate this negotiation of an updated agreement amidst changes to the Nevada revised statute made by Nevada State Legislature on the disposal of property by public entities. The current bookstore agreement expires on December 30th. Trustees, I brought this back to you just simply because the calendar was ticking and the current bookstore agreement that is in place expires at the end of the month. And so this is before this board to determine what your preference is when it comes to the bookstore agreement.
I have a question.
Trustee Rogers, I had a follow-up comment.
So we'll hear from Trustee Sanchez and then Vice Chair Rogers.
I just wanted to know what conversations have occurred between the foundation and the executive director and the chair, if any?
Director Watson.
None regarding the bookstore agreement. The only conversation that has taken place, of which I've updated the board, has been on the draft proposal that I put forward to the foundation regarding moving forward, exclusion of the bookstore agreement and when they hire their new executive director, and that they, proposing that they could use space. And so that's the only conversation that has taken place, and that took place in October. So there has been no further conversations, and there has been no conversations between myself and the foundation regarding the bookstore agreement. The foundation was at their last foundation meeting. They were briefed by Lori Thompson. They received the same briefing that the Library Board of Trustees received. They had some discussion, and again, there has been no discussion between myself and or the foundation.
Vice Chair Rogers.
Yes, thank you, Chair Wah. I think my question was similar to what Trustee Sanchez mentioned. I just recall when we had this on the agenda back in May or June, before we extended this additional 6 months, that there was a commitment from the foundation representative that we would have a proposed agreement in place before we got to this point. So it's certainly disappointing to hear that there's not been any significant progress made in terms of conversations and presenting a revised agreement to this body to consider. And then I think the second question for me would be for the foundation, what expenses are they incurring on a reoccurring basis that would be affected at this time if this agreement were not approved?
And we do not have anyone from the foundation to answer that question, Vice Chair Rogers.
Chairman Wall,
Trustee Foyt.
I would just move to postpone this item indefinitely. We're kind of out here dangling in the wind without any contact or information coming towards us from the foundation. And postponing just seems logical.
Is there a way that we can ask them to come to our next meeting? So we can actually have a discussion item on this where they're not just giving us a presentation, but we can also ask questions and just ask some reasonable questions to find out exactly what Trustee Rogers is saying. If this is taken away, how will that affect you now? What is left as far as payments are concerned? I just feel like there needs to be some kind of meeting or some type of an agenda where we would be able to speak and ask questions.
And I would just, for the board's gratification in response to that, is that we do have an item on this for the foundation on all of our board agendas to have those conversations. So as far as a specific invitation, I certainly have not put out an invitation, but we have had it on at least the last several agendas for an opportunity for them to come and have a conversation with us.
I saw that, but I remember, I think it was 2 months ago when I asked if they were invited, they didn't know that it was on the agenda. So I'm just saying I would like for us to invite them so then that way we could make it happen.
I mean, we
have
can
conversation.
certainly remind them that they have an item on the agenda. Just Treasurer Turner-Whiteley.
So it's not a surprise or a secret that I am highly uncomfortable with the agreements that we're in with the foundation right now. I think they were not well-written. I think they are not good for us. And I have been saying that for probably 18 months plus at this point. They have not asked us for an extension. Is that correct?
I have not received any communication.
We went into this extension 6 months ago. I think I was very clear in my position at that point that I'm not comfortable with the language. I don't think it protects them either, for the record. I just don't think it's good. They signed the extension presumably 6 months ago. It expires December 30th. They have not asked for an extension. So we have been asking what the plan was. We have been saying we will support you. We have been saying we want to stand up a foundation that is, you know, the same as the wonderful organization that we have as a district, and I am not seeing movement. My appetite to extend a contract I'm uncomfortable with is nil at this point. And I feel like if and when they have a plan and need that money, I would be very interested to figure out if there's a way to work it out, but I am not willing to continue to kick this can down the road because I'm not comfortable with the agreements.
And trustees, so we do have a motion on the floor from Trustee Foyt.
Chair, I have a question prior to a motion.
So a motion's already been made. I'm just going to ask at this time, is there a second?
I second that motion to postpone it.
So we have a second from Trustee Foyt. Discussion on the motion, Trustee Benavides.
You had mentioned that they are currently on our agenda. Just wanted to clarify, when they're on the agenda currently, it is just for them to do a presentation. If I am correct, it's not for discussion purposes of speaking upon a specific item. For example, this book sales. Am I correct on that?
So the item was left intentionally vague on the agenda, so that way we can talk about anything with them that either the board or the foundation wish to discuss. So that under the reports, similar to the chair report or the trustees report, if there were any questions or comments, they were afforded that that agenda is the same. As far as discussion on a discussion and decision on a specific item, we don't have that on the agenda, but the item that is on the agenda is broad, so that way we can have those conversations. Trustee
Okay,
Sanchez.
thank you. I would move for a vote on holding the item.
Okay.
What does
um,
postpone mean? Does
uh,
that mean extend the contract month to month, or does that mean do nothing and let the contract expire on December 30th? I don't understand. the issue at the
So,
table.
so the result of us postponing it indefinitely would mean that the contract would expire on December 30th. And correct me if I'm wrong, Council Welt or Director Watson, that means anything involving the contract, including bookstore sales being sent to the foundation or any other agreements under that would then end on December 30th, 2024.
And just for clarification purposes, we did this, they knew that this was a 6-month contract and it expires December 30th. And no one has asked for an extension.
Not that I'm aware of.
To answer your question, I don't believe you can have an extension. Both councils have advised you that under the current law, we can't do what that contract requires. So there would be a postponement is not an extension. This will end December 30th unless you affirmatively pass it. And I certainly can't condone if you extend that agreement. And you've heard from Lori Thompson as well. So we were hoping, that doesn't mean, by the way, that the money has to be dispersed to our general fund or anywhere else. It could be just sort of reserved, assuming there's some other agreement that complies with the law and allows you to support them. But you have nothing in front of you, just bringing them to the meeting. That would be a negotiation in a public meeting. I'm not sure you entirely want to do that.
Thank you, Council.
Trustee, I rescind my motion for postponement because I guess I just did not understand what that meant. I understand where Trustee Whiteley is concerned. I do. I also have some questions, and I feel like when you're putting on the agenda a vague report instead of calling them to come over and do a presentation to discuss this, I just don't think it's right to do that without having that invite. And the last time I asked you, you had said that did not happen. And then I do recall that there was something going on with the chair, a family matter. So I'm just saying, it would be nice to know exactly where they stand. And then I also want to know what the financial repercussions are, if any, not for us, but for them. I hope that they're good on their the items that they have to pay. So that way, if that's what as a board we decide to do, it's closed out correctly.
And
because I don't know the answer to that.
And of course, I wasn't at the last meeting, and Trustee Sanchez, neither are you. As I understand, the foundation was present at that meeting. As far as your other concerns, again, I've had no request from the foundation for any specific item or to have anything on the agenda. And so if I don't, I mean, frankly, if I don't know what they would like to discuss with us, then I can't agendize that. So I have not had any communication.
When's the last time you spoke to the chair of the foundation?
I mean, I've spoken with him in passing, but since Mr. Ortiz left the board, I've not had a conversation with him.
Trustee Rogers, I have a question when the opportunity arises.
Vice Chair Rogers.
And to clarify what Council Welt shared, if we don't have an agenda item, if we don't take a vote, the current agreement will just naturally sunset at the end of the month, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So trustees, Trustee Foyt still has her motion out there. Is there a second?
Second.
Could you restate the motion? I thought that.
Yeah, restate the motion.
The motion is to postpone this item indefinitely. And Trustee Whiteley is seconding?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a
Well, I guess
motion.
my understanding, there's no action needed.
That is, I mean, we could, that is an option as well. Is that we just, I mean, the end result is the same.
Then I don't want a second.
I'll withdraw.
Okay. So are there any other motions at this time? And if not, then we will close this item. Moving on to agenda item number 10, announcements. The January board meeting will be held on Thursday, January 16th, 2025 at 5 p.m. At the Summerlin Library. I will not be present for that one, so Chair Rogers will be chairing that one again. The February board meeting will be held on Thursday, February 13th at 5 p.m. at the Enterprise Library. And the March board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 13, 2025 at 5 p.m. at the Whitney Library, the home of the now famous Billy Allen. Mr. Vino.
Good evening, trustees. Just one last item at the last board meeting. The board asked us to reach out to the school district for some comments, and I'd like to introduce Brandon McLaughlin, Assistant Superintendent, who has graciously come down to talk to us tonight.
Assistant Superintendent McLaughlin.
Good evening. Thank you, Brandon McLaughlin. Just a brief comment. I know there was a request last meeting. So thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on the school district's exploration of a potential partnership at the Mount Charleston Branch Library. On August 7th, our school board of trustees provided direction to the district to merely explore the possibility, which is what we entered into with Mr. Watson and Mr. Vino, of constructing a small building addition at the Mount Charleston Branch Library as a potentially more cost-effective solution and mutually beneficial than repairing the severely damaged and underutilized Earl B. Lundy Elementary School, also up on Mount Charleston. So fast forward, and happy to report that on December 4th, 2024, our school board of trustees did reconsider the previous direction from August, and CCSD will now focus on repairing the existing severely damaged structure up at Earl B. Lundy Elementary School. My comment mainly today focuses on, I just wanted to express my great gratitude for Mr. Kelvin Watson and Mr. John Vino for their professionalism and collaboration throughout the process. Their efforts, obviously well beyond what was required of their daily duties and responsibilities, was greatly appreciated by the school district, so thank you. And obviously the new formed relationship, regardless of the outcome on the school side, I'm very optimistic about the ongoing professional relationship we now have between the library and school district. And I hope that, and I believe it'll create future opportunities to support learners within our community. So thank you again to the Las Vegas Clark County Library District for exploring the feasibility of the potential solution up at our elementary school, and especially to Mr. Watson and Mr. Vino. I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent. Does anyone else have any other announcements on the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 11, public comment. Topics raised under this item cannot be acted upon until the notice provisions of the open meeting law have been met. If you wish to make public comment on this item, you must sign up on the roster provided prior to the public comment period. The sign up must include the commenter's name, legal address, and the agenda. Commenters should state whether they want their remarks in the meeting, minutes of the meeting. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment at this time?
No, we don't.
Seeing none, I'll close public comment, move on to agenda item number 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I do so move.
A motion from trustee Foyt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from trustee Sanchez. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Oh, sorry, Whitley. We are adjourned at 6:18. Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone. See you next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.